A massive migration exodus has started from Las Vegas's housing market, and concerningly, Las Vegas is now flashing the same warnings it did in 2006, 2007 before it experienced the worst housing crash in U.S. history.
Vegas is a tourist economy that's based on casinos. The economy is super fragile. If there's some sort of recession that affects the Vegas tourism economy, which it will, the Vegas housing market can fall off a cliff real quick. All right, welcome back to the Jaden and James Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about real estate and whatever else comes up in life. How's it going, James?
It's going. My Wild play tonight. Hopefully we make the first round.
Well,
I know you're the Lightning. You're down there in the Lightnings, and they're still in the playoffs.
Yeah, my wife watches them a lot. They're on TV all the time. I catch some of it.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with that, though. Hockey's awesome.
Yep.
Go Wild.
So this is Nick Gurley with Reventure Consulting. I hope I pronounce his name right. He's pretty well known in real estate analysis. So I think his background is in analytical stuff for real estate companies, and he's got some different apps and stuff he does. But he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. He tends to be more on the doomer side of things. Most of the videos are kind of doomer type videos. So take that with, for what it is. This will almost certainly be a negative video, but he does have good information. You just have to kind of realize it's a little bit tilted towards the doomer side because that gets, I think, more clicks for him. So let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, I want to see if I guess what I want to do is I want to try to not debunk it a little bit, but just find maybe the positive of not just looking at the negative. So
yeah, for sure. I watch his videos because it's good information and context, but it's kind of like one side of the coin, I would say. So go ahead and play it.
A massive migration exodus has started from Las Vegas's housing market, and concerningly, Las Vegas is now flashing the same warnings it did in 2006, 2007 before it experienced the worst housing crash in U.S. history, with Las Vegas home prices dropping as 2025 sales hit the lowest level since 2007. You can see these sales volumes in Vegas are now down 42% from the pandemic peak and are literally at the lowest level in nearly the last 20 years. Now, many people in Las Vegas aren't yet aware that this is happening. Many local realtors, many local mortgage brokers, and many local real estate investors still think the market is hot. They still say things like, all the people from California are moving in to buy houses. However, that's clearly not happening anymore. And what we can now see is that home values in Vegas are officially going down on a year-over-year basis. They've dropped 2.4% over the last 12 months. However, these values are still near a record level. They've doubled in the last 7 years.
Right there.
Creating market.
So this is what we talked about before. I think we talked about this in Florida. How much of this is COVID related, where we're going to surge in, pay over inflated prices, and now everything's now going to come back basically even and basically settle in?
Yeah, I think it's like, if you look at this chart, like anyone that bought in the peak COVID years probably is going to lose money, most likely. So that go back to like 2021, 22, anyone from 2021, 22 through now, their house likely will lose some value, I would guess. But anybody that owned before that is going to be just fine. Like if you bought in 2018, like, geez, you've got a lot of equity sitting there. Do you really care if the market drops 20%? I mean, you probably care a little bit, but it probably looks like a fake market to you anyway. That's how it is down here in Florida. Like, I don't think people that lived here thought that any of the prices were real anyway. It's like, they're these ridiculous COVID prices that need to go back to what they were before.
I still think we got to wait till probably a couple more years before everything really settles and gets away from that time of year.
It should get back to like 2019 pricing, and then just add in 3% inflation per year from 2019 pricing. And then if you to draw a line from 2019, 3% a year, and see where that ends, and that's where the prices need to get to. That's what needs to happen. And maybe if you did that, drew that line, maybe they need to come down $100,000 in Las Vegas still.
Because what I would like to, I was wondering how many of those are going to, if it's actually going to be foreclosures or if those are cash deals that they're just losing money on.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I don't know the Vegas housing market that well. I just know the housing market in general. Like most of the houses that were bought with pretty good credit, on good mortgages, with good down payments. So people are less likely to walk away from them. Like in 05 and 06, none of that stuff was true. They were bought with bad credit, no money down, terrible loans. And as soon as the houses were worth less than they paid for them, people had no incentive to keep paying the mortgage. So they just walked away from them. Right. So I don't think assuming Vegas is the same as Florida and the rest of the country, and they were good loans, I don't foresee that you'd have a lot of foreclosures. Because even if the house is worth less than someone paid for it, like, well, if they put money down into it and they have good credit, they don't want to get ruined, they're not going to get foreclosed on, because they don't want to destroy their credit and stuff.
Yeah, they can still live there. It's just a matter of now they're forced to live there versus moving back to California or something.
Or they rent it out to somebody and I know people even in the 08 crisis that had houses in Vegas and Utah and stuff that way overpaid for the houses, and they moved because of jobs, and they just rented them out for a loss every month. They covered the loss for years. Probably 10 years, because they didn't want to have their credit affected. And then after 10 years, the house was worth more than they paid for it. You got to wait it out. But
that's what we did.
So I don't know, Vegas. I think if Vegas has some problem with the casino economy, which they could, then there could be a lot of foreclosures because people just lose their source of income.
Right.
And so that economy down there is very fragile.
Well, it's all transit, isn't it? It's mostly transit, isn't it?
Transient. Yeah, it's tourism, casino business. So as soon as there's, some huge problem with the economy where people aren't traveling or people don't have money to go to casinos, like Vegas gets crushed.
Right.
Vegas drops off a cliff when things happen to the economy. So it is really a volatile housing market.
Yeah. Hey, we probably need to continue playing it here.
Hey, producer Brady here. Are you a wholesaler or real estate investor? Let me tell you about my friends at Easy REI Closings. They are the world's largest transactions coordinating company designed by investors for investors, and they handle deals in all 50 states. Their mission is to take the admin work and closing coordination off a real estate investor's plate so that they can focus on the income producing activities to help their companies scale. If that sounds like something you could use, check the link in the description down below and get more information. Now let's get you back to the video.
It's just unaffordable for the local Vegas residents to buy a house, and that's why the demand is so low. One of those factors would be a slowing and potentially even declining economy. In the last 12 months, the number of people taking trips to Las Vegas has plummeted, with Las Vegas seeing a sharp visitor drop as leisure spending wanes, according to a new report from.
So I did some videos in Vegas, and I experienced this myself, that Vegas really pushed this charging people money for everything and raising prices on everything to where it's really expensive. I was there a couple of years ago, and it was ridiculous. Like lunch is like $60, like everywhere. Anything you do is it's 2 to 3 times more expensive than what you would be used to paying anywhere else. And it feels like Disney World now. Vegas feels like Disney World. Like you go there, and they're just.
They made it so you can bring your family. It used to be only adults go there. And soon as they made it where, hey, bring your kids and your kids can go play video games while you gamble, hey, then you can go back up to the room. Parents can still sneak down to the casino and still play. So that's what's changed is, it used to be I'm going to Vegas, and you didn't go to Vegas until you were 21, right?
Yeah, it's just crazy. I remember going when I was 21. We went down there, and it was cheap. You could go have a good time in Vegas. It was cheap to fly down there. It was cheap to stay. We had a hotel room for like $29 a night or something like that.
Right. It was. I do remember that. It was like $49 a night, and because you just need a bed. You're there to spend the money
in a decent hotel. It wasn't like super nice, but it was good enough. And we could go get like a foot long hot dog and a Heineken for like $2. It was ridiculous how cheap things were. You could buy T-shirts on the strip for $9 or $5, and then like this last time I was down there, I'm like, gosh, I think I was there for like 2 days. I spent like $600 just walking around.
You're old.
So I think anyway, I was watching these videos on YouTube about this, and they're saying these guys that live in Vegas are saying that there's way less people, way less tourists there because it's so expensive. And these got these resort, like you'll get a $200 a night hotel room, and then they have $100 a night resort fees for parking and room service and whatever else they're doing. And they're just like, people are tired of being extorted. And with inflation being as bad as it is, people either don't have the money to spend it down there or they don't want to anymore. So I think Vegas is at risk of having some problems, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Right.
Reuters. They say that Las Vegas posted its sharpest annual visitor drop since 1970, excluding the pandemic in 2025. Las Vegas drew about 3.5 million fewer visitors in 2025 compared a 7.5% drop from 2024, its sharpest decline outside the pandemic since record keeping began in 1970. Vegas is a city powered by leisure spending. In addition, passenger traffic in 2025 fell about 6% at Harry Reid Airport.
This is Pocket. I never go anywhere without it.
That may not sound like
7%
may not sound like much.
With
7% may not sound like much, but when that's your entire economy that just went down by 7% in a year, that's like really a big deal. Now they probably are extracting more money out of the people that are there, so they're like the total revenue probably didn't go down 7%. But anyone that's making money on like just the volume of visitors there probably noticed their income went down last year. And I was going to say in Florida here, I noticed that we're seeing a lot of advertisements for Disney World and Universal Studios now, which we never saw before. And they're advertising to local residents to go there, which tells me that they're hurting a little bit for visitors. And I've heard a couple of stories about that from different people that some of those theme parks are not very busy anymore now. So
they were really busy when I was there.
Yeah, I'm like every time I go, it's busy, but but they do these deals for locals and stuff when they don't have enough people. They'll start giving local residents really great deals to go, and so I think it's always going to be kind of busy. But some of the people that are there are paying way less money to be there than you might be.
Right.
So, but yeah, I've seen a lot of those deals that we haven't seen for years to get locals to go to those parks again. So I think people are traveling less, spending less money. All the COVID money is gone now after 5-6 years. People have to start saving money again.
Hey, Jaden, just stop for a second. It's been 6 years since we thought the end of the world was going to happen.
Thank God. Let's not do that again.
You just stop and think for a second. Of course, we were there on the beach of Fort Myers Beach when they shut it down. And it was so weird. I mean, it was like it was the end of the world, wasn't it? I mean, that was 6 years ago.
I like to not think about it too much. I had 3 little kids when COVID happened. My life was already very difficult. And then COVID definitely did not help.
All right, go ahead, Brady.
December traffic dropping 10.3%. Now, this travel slowdown is particularly problematic for Las Vegas because a disproportionate share of its economy works in travel and tourism related service industries like at restaurants, casinos, sports and entertainment. So when fewer people are coming to Vegas, that means less money being spent, less tips being generated, and more people out of work and looking for money. You can see here that Las Vegas has the highest percentage of service jobs in its local economy of any metro. 38.6% of its jobs are in the service industry. That's 430,000 jobs. You can see that's even higher than Orlando at number 2, and it's way higher than Miami at number 3. So Vegas is on another tier when it comes to its exposure to the service sector in the US. Now,
yeah, I think we get the gist of it. It's Vegas. Vegas is a tourist economy that's based on casinos. The economy is super fragile. There isn't much else in Vegas that I'm aware of. There's some military bases in the area, but that doesn't drive a whole lot of economic activity. So yeah, Vegas is really, if there's some sort of recession that affects the Vegas tourism economy, which it will, the Vegas housing market can fall off a cliff real quick. So again, I feel like this is kind of like California. What does that mean for the rest of the country? I don't know.
I don't know if it means anything because again, it's Vegas, and it's not like it's not like Minneapolis and Atlanta. They could be alike, right? It's because of the cities are roughly the same sizes and stuff.
Well, they have diverse economies. Atlanta and Minneapolis have very diversified economies in many
There you
different
go.
industries, a lot of
Right.
jobs. And I mean, if you took like the biggest sector in Minneapolis, like they just showed 40% of people work in the tourism sector in Vegas. The biggest sector in Minneapolis, I mean, maybe it's healthcare at like 8% or something like that. There isn't one sector that's really dominant in Minneapolis. It's just a lot of different things. So it's a very resilient economy, and Atlanta is too. So you're not going to see. The one thing I would say about Vegas, though, like in 2008, Vegas was one of the first markets that dropped off a cliff. So it is kind of a leading indicator, I think.
Well, is it a leading indicator because of people don't have the money where they're at because their houses went up, they had a fixed or a adjustable mortgage rate, and then all of a sudden, I mean, they had to get all the hospitality stuff, the having fun, going on vacation, they had to get rid of that, and they had to put the money.
Vegas, it could be a leading indicator of just recession for the whole country.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I can see that. I agree with you.
What's the first thing you're going to stop spending money on? Going to Vegas is going to be pretty high on the list of not spending money on something if you don't have the money to spend. So, yeah, I think you might see it there. And then if we go into a recession and Vegas is the first red flag, then okay, well, it'll affect the rest of the country too, but it won't affect the rest of the country as bad. It was like Vegas could drop 40% or something. Is Minneapolis going to drop 40%? No, it didn't in 2008 either. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a fun video to listen to and watch. Again, it's I don't think you can have it really start. You can read into it as much as you want to, but I agree with you.
Yeah, there'll be certain cities that if we do have a recession and a bit of a housing crash, there'll be some cities that will be extreme with it, and Vegas would be one potential one. I think Cape Coral, Florida, is a high potential for that. Austin, Texas seems to be it's dropped quite a bit too. So there's a couple of cities around the country that will be in the YouTube because they'll be the extreme cases, of price drops. Yeah. But the rest of the country won't be extreme.
The best advice is, I keep saying, is know your area around.
Yeah.
Know your market, because everybody wants to try to jam. This is what the national average is. Well, maybe your market's a little bit different. I mean. And if you know that, then you can. Well, first of all, you can be the expert in your area. So why not?
Yeah, and if you look at a market like Minneapolis, where the house prices are based on people's incomes, and they don't move that much every year. They basically move with people's incomes every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't get this up and down nearly as much because you don't have all these weird things going on, like the transient population or tourism or money flooding in from hedge funds buying houses. It's just people that live there that have jobs that make money and get mortgages and buy houses, and it keeps the economy pretty stable, I think.
Right. And I can't remember if it was this video or a video that we did 3 hours ago. But how does that, God, I had it in my head now. I just literally lost it. Just scratch that out. I had something in my head. Yeah. So, yeah, Brady, we don't need any more. So basically, I guess we come to the conclusion that we probably should stick to some videos that I still like commenting on those videos. I really do.
I think it's good. It's good to like I said, Vegas can be a leading indicator, but yeah, I mean, if we can find some Midwest videos or Southeast or something where it's a market that's going to be similar to most of the rest of the country, might be a better indicator, but it will be less maybe less interesting because it'll be less extreme.
Hey, Brady, there's some Twin Cities guys that have some podcast stuff. They're just realtors. Maybe we need to do a reaction video on them and see, what we think a little bit different. And again, maybe that might help us get some views if we post it on our website, or not our website, but just Facebook around here. But just let's look into that.
That's a good idea, doing some local stuff, because we could get some more reach just through the local people.
Yeah, I think we've even tried to reach out to there's one that has a radio station that they do an hour real estate podcast, not a podcast, real hour and a half. Is it 11:30? I think it's on 11:30. I can't remember. Anywho, that we need to look at, or maybe we can get one of those guys on our side. But I think we need to start looking at their videos too. But hey, we're rambling. Let's do a hard close here, Brady, so I'll start over. Hey guys, if you like the video that you just watched, please click below, subscribe to our channel. Tell us we suck. Tell us we're awesome. Whatever. We want to hear from you. So again, just remember, we made the mistakes.
So you don't have to.
Thank you.
Later.